President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has emerged as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States. Tinubu was elected chairman at the 63rd Ordinary Session of the regional bloc held on Sunday afternoon in Bissau, capital Guinea-Bissau. In his acceptance speech, Tinubu pledged that democracy will be taken seriously. The ECOWAS chairmanship is a position held by one of the heads of state or government of the member countries, chosen on a rotating basis for a one-year tenure. Although the role does not confer executive powers, the chairman plays a strategic role in conflict resolution, advocacy, and liaisons with the president of the ECOWAS Commission. The executive responsibility for the day-to-day management and implementation of ECOWAS policies and decisions. Now, of course, joining us this morning, right here in the studio, we have Barrister Evans Ufeli. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to VOP this morning. And of course, we'll have joining us virtually Barrister Eze Eluche, of course, who will be helping us to actually talk more into this. Now, my first question is this good news and why?
Well, it is good news to the extent that ECOWAS has been a strategic organization in Africa.
Okay.
We have seen in the days of the apartheid, the days of serious conflicts, armed conflict to be specific in Africa. We heard about the ECOMOG soldier peacekeeping mission of the ECOWAS. So to that extent, it's a good news that the president of Nigeria has emerged the chairman. But much more than that is to look at the fact that generally the AU, which is also the umbrella body for which ECOWAS come under in a way, all the organizations, international organizations within Africa, whether they are in southern part of Africa, northern part of Africa, western part, must do more. They should do more because there's still conflict in Africa. Central African Republic, Sudan, Somalia. Africa is polarized, more like so many areas, just like the Middle East. So it's a good one. The president has said he's going to put forth his unalloyed commitment to ensure that the organization achieves its objective, one of which is to preserve and protect the tenet of democracy. That's fine. It is now left for other African countries to cooperate with the chairman to ensure that Africa finds its footing clearly and then have democratic arrangements across board. And those countries that have some funny constitution where the president will be in office from 1985 and is still there till date. In as much as sovereignty is dear to every country, I think ECOWAS should, if ECOWAS really projects democracy as it claims, it should begin to look into the constitutional framework of these African countries where you have, it's not a monarchy, you cannot really explain what it is, it's just one kind of elongation. Sometimes some African countries have constitution that is unlimited. You can be there for as long as, I know those issues. Look at the issue of Yahya Jammeh when he was ousted by his adverse party. He refused to leave the place and all that. These are issues until they would deploy ECOWAS and then deploy before he was forced out. So these issues in Africa, I think ECOWAS should go much more than because sometimes it's only when a new chairman emerges like that we hear about ECOWAS.
Not sure.
Yeah, it tells you that the activities there. Yeah, nothing is happening. Even the African Union. The issue of the unified currency till now, that idea has been completely.
Even conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution, visa regime. You understand? Visa regime in Africa, we blame the West for restriction and all that, but even within Africa.
Yes, like Seychelles did recently.
Yes, within Africa, if we have unified, we should boast of hosting the World Cup. We should have railways across Africa. Okay, we should have all that, but the case of Africa is pathetic.
All right, Barrister Eze Eluche, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very well,
Thanks for
thank you.
having me
Good to have you.
virtually, though.
Pardon?
I mean, thanks for having me for your program.
All right, you're welcome.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Now, with the president of Nigeria, imagine the new chairman of ECOWAS. Do you think that Nigeria is back to holding its place as a giant of Africa?
Well, let me just correct an error the man in your studio made. There is no country in West Africa that has any president who is staying that long. Virtually all the countries in West Africa have what is called, or what is referred to as democracy, and they stick by their tenure. But the one that tried to make an elongation, the Senegalese president, the people resisted, and he just recently backed down.
I'm talking about.
But with regards to your question about the making of Bola Tinubu the chairman of ECOWAS, I think ECOWAS was overstepping its bounds. They are interfering in Nigeria's democratic processes. We have the presidential election tribunal still in process, in motion. There was just basically no need for ECOWAS had its own, there were other head of states. Even if you listen to Mr. Tinubu's remarks when he was made the president, he said, well, he's just new on the block. He's just new in the setup. So why making him chairman when he doesn't even understand the nitty-gritty of the ECOWAS, how ECOWAS runs? It only gives you one, you begin to appreciate what really transpired. Nigeria provides more than 60% of the budget of ECOWAS. And I assure you, even if somebody else was president or chairman of ECOWAS, if some other president of any other country was chairman of ECOWAS, and the Nigerian delegation said we want our president to be the chairman, they will give way. So we should not mistake it as anything regarding the respect Nigeria, Ghana, as an international community, or that it's signed that all things are well and that we are back on the in the global scene. No, it's not. It is purely financial, purely economical. The bureaucrats in ECOWAS are not stupid. They know what it means, and then if it will further if it's to the interest of the person who is the Nigerian president, ECOWAS will actually allow him to stay there for 4 years of his tenure, because that is where the fund for ECOWAS comes. The ECOWAS secretariat is located in Abuja, and then they understand these issues. So it is nothing to write home about. It's actually problematic for ECOWAS to have done that, because there will be the man on the block now as the chairman does not understand ECOWAS, and we can see from his statements about democracy. ECOWAS has a very weak sense of democracy. What they do in ECOWAS is they only come in when the people revolt against autocratic regimes. If ECOWAS is interested in democracy, they should participate in ensuring that the presidents in various ECOWAS West African countries abide by the tenets of democracy, and not only when the people topple a government that has been very brutal on them, then ECOWAS will come and start making feeble excuses. And when they make such feeble excuses, because the people are not with them, it always amounts to just backing without any effect. They tried such things in Mali and in Upper Volta, and the response of the people was that this is our country. You cannot come and tell us crap. That when the previous so-called democratically elected presidents were maltreating the people, ECOWAS kept silent, only to step in when the dictator has been toppled. On the conclusion, ECOWAS appears to be a president's club.
Okay. The
presidents of the West African countries show up for ECOWAS meetings. The people continue to suffer the pangs of ECOWAS. Virtually all the ECOWAS treaties, the free movement protocols, the respect for citizens is not respected. As a Nigerian, try going to Ghana, try even crossing the border into Togo and see what happens. So ECOWAS should up its game and become more of a people-centered government outfit and not a president's club, which it is, unfortunately, for now.
Barrister Ezra, please, I want to take you to your earlier statement when you were trying to rephrase the response of Barrister Evans Ufili, when you said ECOWAS, or would I say African countries or their presidents do not stay for an elongated period. I want to get clarification on that, Because if you have
Yes.
a president like Gabon, whose family has been the president for almost 55 years, the man was ill in 2018, literally almost a vegetable, and he has declared to run for a third term. Right? So, I mean, for that long, he's been, since 2008 or 2009, he took over from his father. That's an elongated tenure for a country that supposedly practices democracy. So, I need
No,
to
our
type.
focus, I believe, is ECOWAS, West Africa. Even
Okay.
Cameroon, the Cameroonian leader has been there for 40 years plus. But the Cameroon is not even in West Africa, it's not part of ECOWAS. So I believe the discussion here is ECOWAS. That was why I restricted myself to saying that no country in ECOWAS has, but that does not mean ECOWAS supports democracies. They
All right,
only
so
have
as it
elections.
is, as
All
it
right.
is now,
Democracies.
as it is
All right.
now, would it be right to describe ECOWAS as a dog that bites, that barks, but doesn't have the capacity to bite? You know, when it comes to maintaining peace and order within the West African space. Barrister
When I called
Evans.
ECOWAS, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
I'll take your response after that. After his.
I was actually referring to Africa in the sense of that
in
elongation, not
larger sense.
specifically the countries
That's
within
fine. That's fine.
the context. But if you look at this ECOWAS, and one of the bane of most international organizations is that they don't have enforcement arms because of the doctrine of sovereignty. Okay, if ECOWAS make recommendations or an international organization make recommendations to your country and the country turns it down, you can only maybe sanction and all that. There's no enforcement arm in terms of so most international organizations of sort. But ECOWAS is practically actually very weak, weaker than it should be by the complications of sovereignty. Okay. Because if you look at it, it does not really respond to democratic issues generally. And then one breath, it tells you that part of the objective is to preserve the tenets of democracy across member states. Okay, but in its operations, you don't see that happen. You only hear of them when there are conflicts and all that and things like that. So not just ECOWAS, even many of the organizations, international organizations within the African state, they have the same semblance. They are not effective in their operations, and they have not even by their existence advanced the cause of unity in Africa. Like my learned colleague referred to here that if you want to move from here to Togo, for example, or to any of the states within the region, you will see the level of the way. I have traveled across African countries and I've seen how I was drilled by migrations within Africa, and I was surprised much more than you will experience elsewhere. Okay, and all those bottlenecks, complications within the African space is not addressed by the international organizations within Africa, including ECOWAS. So they should save us this stress of occasionally they come and tell us about the emergence of a leader who will not be effective, who will not, I mean, we don't see, and the reason they push for Nigeria all the time is because we spend heavily on these African countries. That is, I mean, we look at what we spent in the Liberian war all through then. I know soldiers who were there for as long as 3 years, okay, on peace mission. Some who were killed and others by rebels, okay. Look at our contribution to countries in like South Africa and all that, and look at the effect and the return during the apartheid regime. Or within Africa, we do a lot of big brother contribution and donation across the African space. Perhaps it is the reason why we don't really have opposition when we push to emerge, or when our president pushed to emerge as a leader of all this organization. It's quite economically draining, and it is the support most times
that prompted.
Yes, that prompted. There was a time that Buhari bought SUVs and donated to Mali, Niger Republic, did a railway from Nigeria to Maradi, Niger, that had just 30 kilometers inside Nigeria. that money was a loan, from a loan. Imagine you take a loan to construct a road outside your country. So these African countries, it's more of a parasitic arrangement that they do. They feed on, when we remove subsidy, so many countries in Africa, the economy almost collapsed. They are just recovering. Many of them, from the 52 countries in Africa, largely affected with over 10 to 11 countries by that policy.
All right, Barrister Izzy, let's get your response to this. And in addition, I would like for you to also respond to the fact that do you think the one-year tenure is the problem, the reason why chairmen of ECOWAS rarely do much? 1 year seems to be a short time for anybody to implement anything, really. So let's add that to your response to the question asked earlier.
Well, the chairman of ECOWAS is basically ceremonial. His major task is to preside over the meeting of the heads of states, heads of governments of ECOWAS when they meet. ECOWAS has a secretariat, a very functional secretariat that has a secretary general and all the paraphernalia of office departments. So the chairman is basically ceremonial. And like the guest in your studio said, it's now more like a parasite on Nigeria. And it does not even support Nigeria's position in most international meetings. When you go to the United Nations, France props up several Franco-African countries to challenge Nigeria for elective offices, and they get by, they defeat us. So they only use us locally for what we can provide for them. Not just what we can provide for them, most governments, most states will do for ECOWAS. It's not even attached to the interest of ECOWAS, it's because there are some contracts that will be made available, and some people in Nigeria here will benefit from those contracts. It was not just in the Niger Republic that former President Buhari sponsored a candidate who won an election. He also did that in Guinea-Bissau. He also did that in Mali and several other countries. Now, in fact, there was a time when Buhari was funding the campaigns of up to 5 Fulani presidents across West Africa, and they got into office. So, I mean, if you look at it from the broader scale, you will not be surprised that the president of Nigeria wakes up one morning and he becomes the ECOWAS chairman. But we should not take that as Nigeria being accepted or being welcomed back into the international community sphere. All these ECOWAS countries know what transpired in Nigeria's election. They were there, they know that this election is still subject to court proceedings, litigation. So for them to go ahead and make the president, whose tenure is still there to court pronouncements, chairman, is an interference in Nigeria's political space. And I hope that Mr. President should have declined, even if they say, okay, you should have declined and said, okay, I am still being challenged. Let me, after listening to what I will accept. But for him to have accepted was unfortunate, because if he is now removed, what happens? The same president of ECOWAS country that we are celebrating will jump over and celebrate the new one, not because of any acquisition of funds he's doing, but just because we know that Nigeria will provide the funds. It's financial, it's economical for them. And despite all this fund Nigeria provides for ECOWAS, we get almost nothing in return. Nigerians are being maltreated in Gambia, in Sierra Leone, in Ghana, all over West Africa. And our country's ambassadors here don't raise any issues to defend Nigerian citizens. And then these same ECOWAS have the audacity, the guts to use Nigerian funds. We should review our relationship with ECOWAS and let them know that he who pays the piper takes the stone. If they must keep on accepting our funds, then they should buy our policies, they should respect our citizens wheresoever they are, and not insult Nigerian citizens outside and then expect us to keep on controlling them.
All right, Barrister Evans, before I ask you the next question, I want us to watch President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the new ECOWAS chair and what he said his tenure is going to be like, the things he said he's going to do.
We will take this up seriously with African Union and expect to the European Union and Britain and America take it up. It's a challenge. Yes, democracy is very tough to manage, but it's the best form of government. And we also ascribe to it. We must bite back. We can't sit like toothless bulldog and ECOWAS. For the confidence reposed in me, I pledge to you, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that I will do my best. I am just new. This is my first. I'm giving a surprise package. We will work collectively to pursue inclusive economic integration of West Africa sub-region. We should serve a warning to exploiters that our people have suffered enough. We should make a pledge here that in furtherance of our region's economic recovery and growth, we will commit to democracy and promote democracy and rule of law. I am with you. In Nigeria, we are back. Thank you.
All right. Barrister Evans, if you heard what the new ECOWAS chair said, he said ECOWAS can no longer continue to sit like toothless bulldogs. Do you think that he will do something that would reactivate what the ECOWAS is meant to be?
Well, he's saying that he's going to project that, but my fear is the country he's addressing, the people he's talking to, are they on the same page with him? Because, I mean, most of these countries he's talking about are countries that are less than the population of Ogun State. Most of those countries, there are less than 4 million people in those countries, have weak leadership, corrupt and very wicked leadership across those African countries that are addressing. So perhaps he thinks that this is one organization he has made the president that will soar. Like, I doubt, I really have a lot of doubt about the ECOWAS competence to preserve democracy. And this one is saying they're going to take it up to European Union, take it up to America and all those places. I don't know what they're taking up to those. Are those countries part of the ECOWAS or engagements? And I don't understand, but the truth is that he's been made a leader. A speech has been written. He needs to, he has accepted it.
A speech has been written.
Yes, a speech has been written. He has accepted it, and he does not have any other choice than to say he's going to do well. I mean, that is a natural thing, but he's going to do well. What are the terms of the engagement? Who and who is he referring to or talking to? The objective of those who made him the presidency for us to do well or for them to get what, when, and how? Those are questions. These African countries, he said that our people have suffered enough. He said that in several speeches he has made across time. Okay, been repeating that people have suffered, people have suffered.
Even during his campaign too.
Yes, but he needs to, it's not enough to identify the misery of the African continent or the Nigerian states. It's not enough. There must be practical solution to this problem. And the problem are largely welfare problem. Okay, and this welfare problem, if they are not addressed, is the reason why insurgency took over a larger part of Africa. Okay. From North Africa descending to West and to most of this region. Now, this thing we're talking about, the ESCO or the member countries should tie up their vision to what he's saying and let them do, perhaps they will succeed.
All right, Barrister Eze, you heard the speech as well. What do you make of it? he did say, from the part we ended it, he did say, Nigeria, we are back. Made it seem like a Nigerian thing. Or Nigeria being, a Nigerian being the chairman of ECOWAS, should make Nigerians feel proud. But you don't seem to be on that page.
Barrister Eze.
Eluche. All right, we seem to have lost. We seem to be having network problems with the connection there with Barrister Eze Eluche. So I'm going to come back to you now, Barrister Evans. ECOWAS has 15 countries.
Yes.
Now, 15 countries seems like a good number.
Yes.
If trade is made seamless between these 15 countries, regardless of their numbers, we know Nigeria is more in number, but if trade and movement is made seamless between them, wouldn't we be formidable enough to take a stand against foreign exploiters? Which I think is something he was alluding to.
An attempt in the past have been made to that effect. Okay, like if you look at your passport now, your Nigerian passport, you see that it's not just a national thing. It goes beyond. It's West Africa, meaning with that passport we can actually traverse the countries within West Africa without a visa. Okay, that is actually a step forward. Okay. Now. But that is not enough. It's not enough because we can move freely, but we don't have the rails. We don't have the. West Africa should be able to host the World Cup, for example. We should have stadia across these countries. Okay, and then if Nigeria cannot host it, or any of the country within, West Africa can host it. It will bring a lot of economic fortune. People will come for tourism, people will come for other things, hotels and all that will boom. So because the economic community of West African states, the focus is with economic integration. Okay, that's the focus. Economic integration. That is why they frown against brutality in government, corruption and all that. What our demand is, or what the demand of every rational person will be, is that ECOWAS should come alive. From 1975, can you really put together a compendium of the achievement of ECOWAS from 1975 to date? So that's what we're saying, that an organization of that magnitude, with the kind of resources that the countries deploy, they should be able to go beyond having passport. You can only move freely. We should go further. They should talk about a currency. They should discuss about unification in language and all that. They should encourage trade and commerce. They should come together, team up to fight insurgency within the space. They should encourage proper integration, sports, and other economic issues within ECOWAS. Yes, we can have ECOWAS games. We can have, introduce creative programs that will give it life. The West will embrace that and then see how serious we can be.
All right,
it's important.
Very important indeed. Oh well, this is where we'll drop this conversation as we go into another part of the show.
Sure.
And do know that on the other side of the show, we'll be looking at the gift that keeps giving. That's a good description for this individual. Now, you do know that many have described General Sani Abacha as the ancestor who continues to send money from where he is, and that's to the land. He sent it to the land of the living. Well, now a court says that the federal government must come clean with how much it has received and what the monies have been used for. This conversation we'll be having when we come back after this break. And I think we'll have to keep very silent for this conversation.